welcome to Fiberchats. My name is Irina. I'm the host here, but today I decided to do something a little bit different. It's the end of December and I wanted to do a year in review. I wanted to talk to you about what I did this year, what I needed this year, and just give you like a little bit, a glimpse into my day-to-day life. So this year I started this channel. I started it exactly 6 months ago, and in those 6 months I did close to 90 interviews. I actually finished more interviews, but I posted 89 interviews, and it was an amazing journey because I got to meet all these people who I wouldn't meet otherwise. I got to get a glimpse into the process, the creative process of the designers, of the inspiration behind the beautiful yarn colors that yarn dyers do, and just to meet all different kinds of fiber artists from all over the globe. I think the only continent I haven't covered is Antarctica at this point. I think I met people from all other continents, which was absolutely incredible. But I want to start with what I personally needed this year. So I started my year with a test knit for Alison Rendall, and it was this hat called the Fish, and you can tell why it's called the Fish. And I absolutely love knitting it because I'm not a Fair Isle knitter. I'm not experienced Fair Isle knitter. This was like probably my third or fourth time trying it. And it's just such a fun pattern because if you look at it, there's like all these different colors, but they sort of like the same family of color and they all blend together. And this is my favorite thing about Alison because she is a true artist when it comes to Fair Isle knitting. She has, like, if you look at her patterns on either Ravelry or Instagram, you'll see this. It looks almost like a watercolor painting, like every single thing she knits. So to me, this is like the most fascinating skill of like a great Fair Isle designer, like to see how they use 6, 7, 8, 13 colors and they blend them so flawlessly. And like there is never an exact line. You don't see where one color goes to another. It sort of just all blends together. It's just like, I find it beautiful. So that was my very first project of the year. The second project of the year was a sweater by Julie Knits in Paris. It's called Pont de Arts sweater. So it has this brioche in the round top, which was a learning experience for me. I didn't know how to do that. And it has the same sleeve and the same like bottom of the sweater. So it was like really fun test knit that I did for Julie. And I love test knitting for Julie. She has like the funnest patterns. And another thing I like about that, it's the trust she puts in me, because I've never done raglan sweater before. I've never done brioche in the round before. And I was like, I don't know if I can do it. And she's like, here's the pattern, just follow it. So I love that about designers when they trust me with their babies, basically. The third project I did this year is very appropriately called the third one. So this is the shawl that Monique Boonstra designed, and it was again a test knit. And I did it with the 3,500 meters per 100 grams. So this shawl actually slides through the ring, and I absolutely love knitting it. It's like one of those things that bring me joy, because not single stitch is boring. There is so much going on in that pattern. And my favorite thing about this specific shawl, is the fact that like usually when you need Shetland lace, the borders can be like really beautiful, but then the center is like relatively plain. This center is like anything but plain. It's just like absolutely stunning what Monique did with this center. So, I mean, it's very, very enjoyable knit. Highly recommend. If you ever want to try Shetland lace and you want to challenge yourself, that's definitely will challenge any knitter out there. The fourth project of this year were these knits that I did also. It was a test knit for Alison Rendall. And I love knitting for Alison because she's just like, every design of hers is like absolutely beautiful. Like if you look at how the inside of the mitten and the outside of the mitten, it's just like beautiful, beautiful mittens. And they don't take long, and you can use any yarn that you have in your like leftover from other projects. So it's like super fun, quick project. My fifth project was a yellow mesh lacy scarf that I just saw that stitch somewhere on YouTube, like one of the YouTube tutorials. And I thought, oh, that's gonna make an interesting texture. So I just basically took this yellow, it was a little gradient yellow cotton yarn, and I just knitted it until I felt like it was long enough. So there's no pattern really to follow. It was just sort of the impromptu little scarf that my youngest one got to model and did a fabulous job with that. So that was number 5. Number 6 is Beale's Shrug that I test knitted for Jennifer Beale. And it's basically the entire thing is bird eyes, bird eye pattern all over, and it has flat Fair Isle little insert on the side. And I gifted that shrug to my mom, and she absolutely loves it. She's now in Florida, so it's like perfect to go out in the restaurant, like during when it's getting chilly with the AC inside. Like absolutely beautiful. And it's very interesting construction also, because you basically need flat, everything is flat knitted, and then you connect it with the Fair Isle bits. So it's like very interesting. Not an easy thing to knit, but it's really worth the effort. And this shawl is by a dear friend of mine, David van de Kamp. So it has different lace patterns combined. And we did this shawl as we opened the Knitters Gonna Knit group. And basically, the idea for Knitters Gonna Knit group came up when, so David was a young designer, like he was just starting, and every time he would try to post his new design, share it in some Facebook groups, he would be like, the post would be removed, it would be like people would tell him it's self-promotion. So we were just getting like really frustrated with the fact that so many groups weren't supportive of, new young talent out there. So we were talking about it, and we decided like, well, what if we open our own group? So this is how Knitters Gonna Knit came to be. And it was very interesting to see how that group developed, because we basically told everybody that we knew, like all the knitters that we knew, we invited them to join, and we said, please show us what you do. So the yarn dyers started to post their yarn, the designers started to post their designs. And then as the group grew, and today we have more than 7,000 people in the group already, very interesting thing happened. Like people were telling us, it's going to turn into a marketplace. It's just going to be like all self-promotion and nobody's going to be posting. But it really sort of created this sense of community, sort of support, celebration of talent, if you will. And like so many collaborations happened in that group, because the yarn dyers would be introduced to new designers. The designers would find new testers. People who wanted to test knit but didn't know how to find those designers were suddenly exposed to the test calls. So it's just like, it became this like almost like a family. So we like to call it Knitters Gonna Knit family. And if you're not there yet, please join. We would love to have you there. And it's not only knitters, but we have like all kinds of fiber artists there, and many people do multiple fiber arts. So Victoria's Shawl was the first knit along we've done in that group. And so many people joined. I think we had like over 100 people join in that knit along. It was amazing to see like all different variations of that shawl being made. And this yarn, I must tell you, like this is my favorite yarn on the planet. So Veronica Neal from Inspired Fiberworks, she hand dyes, this is yak silk merino plant, and it's just like the softest, most cuddly thing out there, and she does it in like all amazing colors. Highly recommend for you to try that yarn. So that was number 7. Number 8 was also a test knit. It was Breezy Shawlette by Michael Harrigan. And Michael was a guest of my channel. He is a certified handmaster knitter. And this Shawlette, like something you can knit like in a weekend. It's really quick, easy, like very cute project. My sister-in-law is the proud owner of that one. Number 9 was a pair of Lobster Smucks that I tested for Alison Rendall. And those are just adorable. So I gave them to a friend of mine for her birthday, and she like absolutely loved them. And Kevin, who is Alison's partner, requested his to have those like evil red eyes. So like you can actually like do them in any color combination and have fun with those. And it's also like, because it's a thicker yarn, super quick project, and it's like very interesting construction how she does it. Number 10, that was another shawl designed by David van de Kamp. It's called Summer Fields. And I gave it as a gift to the brave knitter. So he has that shawl. And it's one of those projects that it's super simple. It's all like garter for the body, but then the border is just delicious. Like it's not super difficult. It's Shetland inspired border, but it's like, it just makes all the difference. And I knitted that shawl with hand dye algae silk that Yoke sent me. And it was just, it's one of those, so she does the plant-based dyeing, Yoke Blockland. So she does like she uses flowers and like different barks of the trees and the mushrooms and all different kinds of like natural dyes. And that algae silk was really so like you felt like you're knitting with real silk. So it's like really interesting material, and it blocked beautifully. It hold the shape beautifully. So try that yarn as well. Number 11 was this t-shirt, and it's basically like a t-shirt, but it has the side, like on the side, it has this also Fair Isle insert that connects the under part of the t-shirt. So it's like very also like interesting construction, and it's perfect for summer. So that was another test knit that I did for Jennifer Beale called Cape Freels. And I used the same exact yarn that I used for Victoria's Shawl from Inspired Fiberworks. So it's exactly the same exact yarn combination, just because I loved it so much. Number 12, that was Nixie's shawl that I test knitted for Julie Knits in Paris. And that shawl is like, it's another one of those like absolute favorite projects of mine, because super easy, like there's nothing complicated. There's just like one interesting stitch going on. So it's basically like you fly through it, like you can knit it in 1 week. But it's such a spectacular shawl. It just has like And I used the yarn also from Treasure Goddess, and I used the yarn that Veronica Neal hand dyed, and had like a little sparkle and just like was so pretty. Love that shawl. So that shawl went to a friend of mine actually asked. He had a person who was dealing with some difficult situation in the family, and he said like, I want to give her a shawl, but I don't have anything right now. Do you have something? And I said, how about this one? And she loved it, and so I hope it brought her some comfort. Number 13 was a test knit that I did for Chic and Regal Knits. Helena was also on my channel as a guest of my channel. So that shawl called Fired Up, and my oldest had the funnest time modeling that shawl. It's just like such a beautiful shawl because it takes one skein of some fun color and then like a little bit of a complementary color, and this one skein, because it's knitted on large needles, it just like grows right in front of your eyes. And that's one thing I like about Helena's designs, because she uses all her accessories are like very simple to make, but they make a statement piece, and they just like beautiful, easy, sort of like 1 week projects, so check her out. Number 14 was actually after I interviewed Duke of Nikko. I was talking to him and I was saying, like so he is famous for his double knitting designs. And I've tried double knitting before. Like I actually gave it a try, but I don't know why my brain didn't connect with that. Like I can do brioche, but like double knitting was tripping me up. So I was talking to him after my interview with him, and he said, well, how about you try this pattern? And he sent me a pattern that he has for tea coaster. And he also has video tutorials that he filmed on his YouTube channel, where he does like step-by-step video tutorial of that particular coaster, teaching you how to do double knitting. And I thought, there's like no excuse not to. So that was harder than expected somehow. Like I almost gave up 7 times, but then I persevered. And at the end, I was like very happy to have that coaster and to prove to myself that I can do double knitting as well. So thank you, Duke of Nikko, for that challenge and for teaching me how to double knit. Next, I did another test for Alison Rendall. It's called Freydis Meets. And it's again, like it's just like so beautiful, and they like so quick to make and very satisfying. And I love how she does the hole for the thumb, and then you just pick up those stitches. And I felt like because it was my second pair of knits, it was easier for me. Like I wasn't that scared of it. Like I knew what's coming. So really enjoyed those. Number 16 was another test knit I did for Chic and Regal Knits. It's called Peekaboo Shawl. And it's again, like as I said, like all Helena's designs, they have this thing where like there's like some point of interest, there's some new technique that she'll teach you. The instructions are like super clear. It was like very easy to follow. And it's usually take like 1-2 skeins of yarn like tops, and it's like you have yourself a beautiful shawl. So that was number 16. Number 17 was also another test knit that I did for her. It's called Take a Long Shawl. So the thing is, right when she asked me to do that shawl, we had a flood. So we had this major storm, and it flooded our basement, and basically like everything we accumulated over the years got damaged. We had to call the services to like have everything removed, thrown out. And then it took us like probably like 2 months we had to waterproof the whole foundation, and that was just like a total nightmare. My whole backyard was huge excavator standing behind. the house, and they like dug the whole backyard, and they had to like waterproof the foundation. So it was just like very stressful time. And that shawl was just absolutely godsend at that point, because you literally can take along that shawl anywhere. And at some point, I even climbed into that excavator and was just knitting there because that was like the only quiet spot in my house. So I ended up knitting there. But it's beautiful shawl. It's very easy. There's like very non-stressful knitting. So if you're looking for something that you can have on the go, beautiful shawl. Number 18, that was very special scarf for me. So it's Smurfette's scarf, and it was designed by David van de Kamp. And he designed it basically to tease me for my love of blue. So my love of blue became famous at this point, like everybody knows it. And he was playing with, he has his own line of yarn. It's called All Mountain Yarn. So he lives in Serbia, and they have this sheep there that organically grown, and then they manufacture that yarn, and he hand dyed that yarn. So he was playing with colors, and he dyed it in those beautiful like turquoise and blues. And he was like thinking what he's gonna do with it, and he came up with the Smurfette, because he teased me for like a while that I'm Smurfette, because at some point, like if you look at my Instagram feed, it was all blue, like I know that. So he was teasing me, that calling me Smurfette, and then he came up with this design that he called Smurfette scarf. And it's fantastic design because it looks very sophisticated. It looks like it's very difficult, but in reality, it's all like slip stitches. So it's so easy. There's like no pattern to memorize, basically. It's repeat of the same pattern over and over, and you just change the colors, and it creates this like very sophisticated, almost woven look to it. So I really enjoyed making that scarf, but I made it in purples and yellows. So it was just like a little different from his version of it. And my daughter's friend has that scarf and she loves it. Number 19. So I guess like I came to the point of my knitting life. And for those of you who don't know, I only started knitting less than 5 years ago. So I came to the point when I started thinking, well, what if I just didn't follow the pattern? What if I just played with it, like, and saw what's going to happen? So I had this yarn for a while, and I decided to add the border, add the edging. And so this shawl was born. And I guess it's my first design. I decided not to publish it. Like I was toying with the idea of publishing it, but I decided it's not the right time in my life to do that. So I might come back to that at some point. I might not. And we had the whole discussion. One time, my husband and I, we went for a walk, and he was telling me that, you know, there are designers and then there are performers. Like if you look at Rachmaninoff, he was like writing concertos, but then Horowitz was playing those concertos better than anybody else, better than Rachmaninoff himself. And so there are people who are great performers, and then there are people who are great designers, and you don't necessarily have to be both. You can be one or another. So I think for this year, I'm sticking with being a performer. So that shawl is just something I love wearing it, and I love knowing that I didn't follow the pattern. I just sort of improvised with it, and it was a fine experience, and I learned a lot. But I'm like, it gave me appreciation for all the designers out there. So number 20, I guess it was also my design of sorts. So Veronica Neal, at some point we did a giveaway, and she created 2 custom colors that she called Fiberchats Blue and Fiberchats Gray. And so when I saw those 2 colors, I was trying to think like, what can I knit with them to showcase those colors? And somehow like I thought, you know what, it has to be just brioche. So I knitted the scarf, and it's just simple 2-color brioche. There's like nothing else going on, but it just like really showcases that blue with the background platinum color. And I really loved the way it came out, and it's so squishy and so warm. Love this scarf. So that was number 20. Number 21. This was the test knit that I did with Suzanne de Rosa. And Suzanne is gonna be, she was a guest of my show, but like her interview is gonna be published in January. And I think she's one of those people who make this world a better place. She basically spent years cataloging and like working, knitting samples of Shetland lace. She has like all those beautiful designs that she recreates from like Victorian time, and some of it Shetland, some of it Victorian lace. So this particular shawl, it was designed during the Victorian times, and she just recreated it, and she created the chart for it. And so I was one of the 3 people together with Paula Kibiltis and Monique Drave that we test knitted that shawl, and it was just so much fun to work together as a team for Suzanne and like go through like all the little improvements and little tweaks of the shawl, and it's just absolutely beautiful. Number 22 was pleased out shawl that I did also as a test knit for Chic and Regal knits. And it's a very interesting construction, and just like it has those honeycomb designs, and just like really eye-catching shawl. Absolutely loved it. And it was a funny story because I got this yarn. The kit was one of the dyer that she used for that specific pattern. And I got that yarn, and I like, it was beautiful, but I wasn't sold on one of the colors. And I said, well, I have similar color, but it's like more interesting. Maybe I'm going to use that. But then I decided, well, maybe the dyer knows better. And I was proven wrong, because that shawl looked spectacular. And that specific color just like melted into the whole thing and was just like totally perfect for that shawl. So hats off to the yarn dyers out there. You guys know your stuff. Number 23. So number 23 was Mosaic Musings by Stephen West, one of my favorite designers. And basically there is a story behind this show. I'm friends with Monique Boonstra and Monique Dreff, and they decided to surprise me with a birthday gift. And Monique Dreff hand dyed that yarn that I was to use in that show. So she hand dyed both colors, just like so beautiful. And they gifted me the pattern as well. So that was my birthday gift from the 2 of them. Thank you so much, guys. You're the best. Number 24 was my first pair of socks. So if you watched my channel, you probably heard about my fear of socks. And after I was interviewing Professor Purl, he sent me an email and he said, pal, here is a pair of socks for you. Try that. So that pair was not published at that time. And I don't know if it's published now. So there's no name for it yet. But it was a pair of socks with cable going on the side. And yeah, so now I know how to knit socks. Thank you, Professor Purl. And thank you for all the guys who were teasing me about my sock phobia. You made me try it and understand that I can knit socks as well. Thank you. Number 25 was the Ocean Home shawl. So that's also like started on Fiberchats. So after my interview with Brenda Shacks, she sent me that pattern as a gift because we talked about it during the interview. And I really love that pattern because it's also like, it's super simple. It's plain knitting, and then you have this beautiful little lacy border, and you could use any 2 colors for it. So she did the brown and blue combination, and I used yarn by Inspired Fiber Works again by Veronica Neal, and I used her orchid color and the Fiberchats platinum color. And they came out so beautiful, just like such a beautiful, elegant, festive shawl. Like really loved it. So I gifted it to a friend of mine for her birthday, and she loves it as well. Number 26 was a test knit that Monique Boonstra asked me to do for her. And so every year Monique has been creating these Christmas bubbles that she does with Shetland lace design on them. And this year she created Ocean Bubble. And so, of course, I had to use the blues. And the blue colors that I used were the leftovers from the second one, the shawl also designed by Monique Boonstra, that Monique Dreff hand dyed that yarn for specifically for that shawl. So I had some leftover yarn, and you don't need much. I mean, it's a small bubble, so it doesn't take much. So you can use any sort of like lace yarn for that thing. And it's one day project, like few hours, and you have yourself very unique, beautiful Shetland lace decorated little bubble. Number 27 is this year warming cowl by Regal Knits. So I did this test knit. This was one day project. I literally started in the morning, and by the evening I was done. So you knit it flat, and then there is a seam on the back that you just do a mattress stitch. And it's chunky yarn on size 13 needles, so it goes like super quick. And basically, like when you put it on, it stays up to a year, that's why she called it ear-warming cowl. And it's so soft. So this yarn is from Morehouse Farm, which is here it's in New York, and they grow their own merino flocks. So the yarn comes from the merino sheep, locally produced, grown, manufactured. So highly recommend this. Yeah, it's so, the colors are fantastic, and it's just like so squishy. Love it. Was a test knit that I've done for Michael Harrigan, and it's this like scarf. It's called Baby Leaf and Fur Cone lace wrap, and it's on the smaller side. It's basically mine came up 30 centimeters by 125 centimeters in length, so just like lacy little accent piece. 2 days and you have yourself a lacy scarf. And finally, number 29 is Echo Shawl by Rastus Shoe. And Rastus was on my channel, guest of my channel as well. And so after the interview, he sent me an email. He's like, oh, we talked about it and you said you liked it. So here's the pattern. And I started like that day. And it's such a fun shawl. It's perfect for the holiday season, perfect for like this relaxing meeting. And I used the yarn. So the purple yarn is hand dyed by some guy dyeing who was also on this channel, and the pink one was the mohair that Monique Dreff hand painted for me as well. So I combined basically like 3 stars of Fiberchats in one project. And this brings me back to why I started this channel. My idea was to introduce my followers at the time, because I started it on Instagram. So my idea was to introduce my followers to some of my favorite fiber artists. But when I started it, I didn't realize that it's gonna get the life of its own, basically. And what happened, it was like very similar to what happened with Knitters Gonna Knit. The people who I interviewed got introduced to each other. And so out of it came collaborations between the yarn dyers and designers, and people were meeting people they wouldn't necessarily meet otherwise through my channel. And to me, this is like the best thing. So what I like to do now is whenever I pick up a pattern by a designer that was on my show, I try to pick up yarn from a yarn dyer that was on my show as well. And I call it star collision. So it's like the Fiberchat stars collide. And I feel like this is the main purpose of this channel, is to introduce you to people. Some of them might be famous designers. Some of them might be people you never heard about. Some of them have huge following on Instagram. Some of them have 100 people that they personally know. And I wanted to have this mix of people. I want to have people from all different countries, different walks of life, different backgrounds. And so that's the plan for next year, to continue doing just that. And my favorite thing about it is getting to know them, getting to see the process, how they work, what inspires them, what brings them ideas, what frustrates them, what makes it difficult for them, the doubts that people have, how they deal with those doubts, how they pick them up together after some tough times and find the inner strength to go on. All those things just like makes us human, makes us knitters, makes us crafters, and bring us together as a community. So that's my goal for the next year. So the engineer in me, I love counting stuff. And when I look back at this year, I did 89 interviews. I did 18 test knits and 29 projects. And my hope for next year is just to continue enjoying knitting, to continue meeting new people, building this community, and just learning new things. And I want to thank all of you for your love, for your support, for your comments, for your critique, for your suggestions, for introducing me to people. I have like people who introduced me to 10, 20 other artists and said like, how about this person? How about this person? I absolutely love that. In fact, like a lot of people who I interviewed in November and December were introduced to me by people I interviewed earlier on my channel. And to me, this is the best compliment because it means that they actually enjoyed our chats. I really love hearing from you. I love reading those comments. I love seeing new people, and I love seeing the comments from people who watch every single episode. Love you guys. Thank you so very much for being with me this year. And I hope you're gonna stay with me next year as well, because I have a lot of very interesting people lined up in the next few months. And I'm really excited about next year. I don't know what my plans for knitting for next year yet. So I'm going to visit my parents in Florida, and I'm going to take a little break from knitting and from interviews. But then I think it's going to be more exciting to come back to all of that. So happy holidays. Thank you for watching. Thank you for spending your time with me. Love you all. Bye.